Logan Paul is officially, bro, ducking me. Like, it's official. The conversation has started originally with, you know what? I think me and Tom Brady gonna throw hands. Gronk sitting there laughing. I don't know why Gronk laughing like I didn't fight all his brothers, and Gronkowski was scared to get in the ring with me. Both of those guys are not in the NFL today. The host, Mike, he asked me, like, bro, what NFL player can beat him up? What NFL player can beat him up? Whatever. So then they start naming names, all Myles Garrett and all other type of people, whatever, right? And that's when the talk about NFL players are coming. And don't get me wrong, NFL players right now, without training, don't even enter this conversation. And that's me speaking respectfully, though, because athletically speaking, I know y'all could all cross over and do it, but it would take training. So Logan, at this point, is right. He will spark any NFL player right now. But he ducked me. Because first he was calling out Tom Brady, who's not in the NFL, called out Gronk, who's not in the NFL. I'm a 3-time All-Pro, Pro Bowler. I'm about as NFL as it gets, bro. So if you don't want the smoke, then just say, I don't want the smoke. He said,
not a single football player could beat me in a boxing match. Not a single football player could beat me in a boxing match. Not a single football player could beat me in a boxing match.
I call him out. I say, hey, look, man, we can set it up at the NFL draft. We can set the fight up NFL draft where all the football players can be there. So you can show that you can beat up all the football players. But I'm the only football player with actual training. So the only football player with actual training, he calls you out, and you would instantly say, you're not in the NFL, and you can fight. You're basically telling everybody, I want a football player, not NFL. I want a football player to be in front of me who can't fight, so I can show y'all I can beat up the football players. Bro, can y'all stop this, bro? Logan Paul is a duck.
Hey guys, welcome back to Duality 7X. I'm your host Shiraz. Today I want to talk about Logan Paul. Logan Paul is in the news, guys. WWE superstar, famous entrepreneur, social media influencer. Usually almost on a weekly basis, the Paul brothers manage to stay relevant. They stay relevant in social media and the news and the headlines. And in this case, you know, for the last little while, it was kind of Jake Paul. Now it's Logan Paul. And Logan Paul is really starting to ruffle some people's feathers, including the great one, Tom Brady. But recently, I don't know if you guys heard, Logan Paul was supposed to, had technically agreed to a $1 million fight against Le'Veon Bell, NFL great Le'Veon Bell, guys. Anyways, the fight was supposed to be for $1 million. And it was kind of like, you fight until somebody quits. Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily all about winning. It's about quitting, right? And somehow, that might tell you everything that you want to know about the business of these crossover fights, how the rules continue to change. And I mean, honestly, it's like a page out of the WWE storyline. And the fact that Logan Paul is in the WWE, you know, that could probably explain why you have these kind of stipulations, these kind of rules. So anyways, let's talk about this, guys, because I mean, when it comes to sports entertainment and it comes to like these crossover fights, influencer fights, you know, it's really starting to, the entertainment factor is starting to really get up there, and the rules, the integrity of the sport, if you want to call it, the structure, the framework, you know, the things that people kind of have to adhere to when it comes to the rules of combat sports is really starting to fade and disappear. But anyways, this is a really, really interesting story, guys, because I don't know, I guess these guys agreed to fight. It was supposed to go down. Le'Veon's like, you know, in a tweet, he's like, yeah, telling Logan, he goes, yeah, that's fine. Let's do this. $1 million, that sounds good to me. The rules, that's fine. You know, the only way you win is if the other person quits. So just, you know, sign a contract. Let's sign the dotted line and let's get this going. And they were supposed to fight as early as of like this weekend. But apparently, a lot of people are saying that Logan Paul is actually ducking Le'Veon Bell. And or Or on the flip side, it could just be Logan using his smarts and his mastermind capabilities and kind of flipping the script on everybody. But we'll get back to that. So I just want to rewind back a little bit here, guys, because I've been following the story with a lot of intent. And guys, like straight up, this was supposed to happen. This was supposed to go down. The whole situation honestly didn't even start with Le'Veon Bell. It started with Logan Paul going after NFL players and basically saying that I'm better than these guys when it comes to combat sports. Now, look, NFL players are NFL players. They're athletes in their own right. They play football, and that's what these guys are good for. Sometimes some of these guys venture out of the world of NFL or football, and they want to try other things, right? I mean, you had Gronkowski not too long ago tried his hand in the WWE. He's tried his hand in a few different things, right? Tom Brady, now he's a broadcaster. Like, I mean, famous, I mean, I don't know how many Super Bowls this guy's won. Famous, like probably a legendary Hall of Famer, quarterback, and now he's a broadcaster. You had a lot of guys who kind of, went outside of the realm of NFL to try different things. Look at Brock Lesnar, man, former NFL player as well too. But anyways, guys, it goes on and on and on. A lot of these guys end up in the WWE, but in this case, Le'Veon's like, yeah, let's do this, man. You think hey Logan, you think you're better than us? You think you're better than us, guys? Let's fight. Let's see what happens, right? And that when Logan said that he was better than NFL players, that did ruffle a lot of people's feathers, especially Tom Brady. So Tom Brady got pulled into this conversation. He threw a subtle shot back at Logan Paul, essentially saying that, look, he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy with what Logan was saying, and then these guys started to kind of go back and forth. Logan was talking about how many touchdowns he would score when he was in college, and Tom Brady's like, nobody cares about how many touchdowns you score. Nobody really gives a damn. I know guys who scored like 5 times that amount in college. So what are you trying to say here? Le'Veon Bell, sorry, then steps in, and he wasn't subtle at all. He said, look, Logan, if you think you're better than us NFL players, then let's fight. And let's not just talk about this. Let's not just debate about this. Let's box. You want to box? Let's box. That's your thing, right? You box. So at first, Logan kind of brushed it off and said, look, WWE obligations prohibit him from being able to fight NFL players. Apparently, that's in his contract. He's not allowed to fight NFL players, which is kind of weird because usually your contract would say something along the lines that you can't fight other people, period, while you're contracted to the WWE. Obviously, for obvious reasons, you don't want your star talent to get injured or potentially ruin the storylines in the upcoming matches that are kind of going on. But Logan's like, it specifically says, I'm not allowed to fight NFL players, which is weird. But anyways, he did brush it off. And then, I mean, he said that NFL players don't understand boxing. And just like that, the word started getting thrown around, ducking. Everyone's like, oh, he's ducking. And then Le'Veon leaned into it really, really hard. He said, look, honestly, guys, you could frame it as fear, not business, because this is where, honestly, things started to get kind of a little heated and to the point where everyone started to kind of pay a little bit more closer attention to, because the fight didn't happen. But the story in itself is exploding all across social media, guys, right? And then recently you had the Fanatics flag football event, and you've got Logan Paul, you've got Tom Brady, you got Kevin Hart, you got a lot of notable celebrities and athletes there. I mean, this isn't just social media anymore, guys. This is like crossover chaos ready to erupt. That whole stage had so many dynamic personalities that any given time, anything could have erupted on the stage and it would have just been pure chaos, right? You got NFL legends. I mean, you've got influencer fighters, WWE stars, all in the same space, all on the same stage, right? And suddenly, a fight that isn't even booked becomes probably one of the biggest talking points of the entire weekend. Now, this is at a Fanatics flag football event, but the conversation that everybody keeps talking about is Logan Paul Le'Veon Bell. And is Logan ducking now? Like, is he ducking Le'Veon Bell? Because it seems like Logan had a lot of strong words, a lot of big things to say. He was quite bold in his approach and how he said NFL players are not, kind of beneath him in a sense that they don't know how to box, that he could beat all these guys. They're not really, that strong. And then people are like calling him out on it. And all of a sudden, Logan's like, oh, well, contractually, I'm not allowed to fight NFL players and this and that. And so why continue to talk about it? Le'Veon issued a challenge. He's like, let's do this. You want to do this? Let's fight. Let's fight. Let's box. And it seems like Logan's ducking, right? So anyways, lots of momentum, lots of interesting conversations happening on that space, arguments going back and forth between Brady and Logan Paul. And I mean, honestly, guys, $1 million fight until somebody quits doesn't really sound like a traditional boring boxing match to me. It sounds more like a WWE/boxing kind of spectacle. These are the kind of storylines that Nick Khan would probably love, but is probably really pissed that it's happening because it kind of is out of the scope of what's going on in the WWE and the storylines that surround Logan Paul. But that's the point. That's the point, because this is where the story flips its script, because Logan Paul doesn't take this fight. And I mean, he could say, yeah, let's do this, but he keeps kind of, he keeps walking that gray line, like almost kind of like he's essentially saying he can't fight, but he wants to fight, but there's no fight, and making it sound like Le'Veon is the one who's kind of not really, interested in wanting to fight him. Anyways, guys, if Logan actually takes this fight and somehow he loses, everything that Logan has built, right, to the point where he's at right now with his career with the WWE, future world champion, by the way, in the WWE, guys, and everything that he's done with this influencer boxing, with, his whole persona. I mean, the Paul brothers are in a different league all to themselves. And everything that he's built, honestly, could come tumbling down like a house of cards, right? And once you start to get a little bit of cracks in the concrete, it's just a matter of time that stuff starts to kind of self-implode and just kind of break apart. Anyways, the question comes down to isn't if Logan fights, does it actually make sense for him? Forget about the well, yeah, I mean, the money is the money. Logan Paul's made a ton of money. $1 million to Logan Paul is like the equivalent of like somebody getting paid it's not a lot of money to Logan Paul. Yeah, $1 million is great, but it's not a lot of money considering that the guy's already worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and he just sold a Pokemon card, for crying out loud. A Pokemon card for $16 million. So what's $1 million? To go through all that effort to fight somebody for $1 million, that's not going to incentivize Logan to come to the ring. You got to start talking about $30 to $50 million, $100 million to bring Logan Paul into a ring. That's the way it is, guys. Anyways, so where the business side kind of comes into it, right? You're talking about traditional combat sports. You're talking about fighters who build records, right? I mean, we're living in a whole new era right now, guys. We're talking about guys like Logan and all these influencer boxers and even athletes who are trying to cross over into MMA and boxing. Everybody's trying to build like they're trying to reinvent themselves, right? And all of this is shaping into building for a new era of combat sports. Combat sports is not like combat sports 5 years ago. Is not like how combat sports looks like today. Things are evolving so quickly, like it's changing like this, guys. There was a whole period of time where boxing, wrestling, even MMA was like every one of those styles of fighting had their own disciplines, had their own lanes and highways, and it was like that. Every few years you got another great talented fighter, generational talent that comes out of the woodworks. He starts competing for different titles within the sanctioning bodies. Then the ultimate goal for a boxer was to become a unified champion, and then it was like that, right? With MMA, it was kind of like the same deal. Fighter wins a championship, stays on circuit for a while, then he either moves up or moves down. Takes on new challenges, but he stays within that lane. WWE wrestlers, same deal. All of a sudden now, Now you're seeing like athletes, like who knows, hockey players, football players, basketball players wanting to cross over into combat sports. And everything that we know about combat sports, I'm telling you guys, it's a completely different world. It is, right? Just look around, the way everybody's talking, what's being covered on social media. Fans are talking about it. People like very reputable, social media greats. Like, look at Ariel Helwani. It's such an unbelievable show. Ariel Helwani is actually talking about this, right? I mean, there was a time where crossover fights were kind of like a stigma. Didn't really take precedence. It wasn't really like the top of the headlines, but it'd be like the third, fourth story, right? Now, these crossover fights are starting to take number one spots. That's what people want. That's what people are tuning into. And it's really starting to prove legitimacy into that growing trend, right? So it's absolutely crazy, guys. There's, I mean, a lot of these fighters, they want respect. They feel that the best way to get respect is to fight. I just covered a video yesterday about Dean the Great. Was at Rampage Jackson. Everybody knows Rampage Jackson, former UFC light heavyweight champion. He was at one of Rampage Jackson's parties, and he and King Green, Bobby Green, got into it. Bobby Green's an active MMA fighter. He's won his last 2 fights, and he's set to fight at UFC 328. That's headlined by Khamzat Chimaev and Sean Strickland. And so Bobby Green and Dean the Great. Dean the Great is a social media influencer, I guess. He's a kick streamer / influencer boxer. He's had 7 exhibition fights, 1 pro bout. He recently fought Amada Vargas at Misfits Boxing, headlined by Andrew Tate versus Chase Dumore. And Dean the Great and Bobby Green, they're together, and they're about to fight. And then they started saying, oh, you know what? I'm gonna bet. Dean the Great's like, I'm gonna bet my house, I'm gonna bet my car, I'm gonna bet my $600 in my wallet or whatever. And then Bobby's like, hey man, I'll bet like $1 million or whatever. Like, he starts pulling out a stack of cash, a wad of like $100 bills. He goes, let's do this. Let's fight right now. And then Rampage Jackson had to intervene. He's like, no. Nobody's fighting at my house. Nobody's fighting at my party. And he's encouraging Dean to stand down. He's like, Dean, you don't want this, man. The last time you got into it was against Tiki Gosen, who was a retired MMA fighter. And if you guys don't know what happened, if you know, you know. If you don't, tune into my last video, guys, yesterday's video. You'll see the elbow punch that Tiki landed square on the jaw of Dean the Great, knocked him flat down to the ground. He's so lucky it wasn't anywhere closer to the edge of the balcony, because it could have been really bad news for Dean. That said, just a few days earlier, Dean the Great gets slapped by Larry Wheels, professional bodybuilder, because Dean the Great insulted his wife. Now, Dean keeps getting into a lot of controversy, man. He's almost getting slapped by every other person that we know. He got into it with Adam 22. Anyhow, now he's getting into it with an active MMA fighter, and they're already starting to bet money on it. But that's what people want to see. That's what people want, right? If these guys could easily be on a card, a legit boxing card or MMA card, and people will still want to tune in to watch that, just because the excitement, the hype, the marketing that drives these new age era influencer fights, that everybody wants to see that. And everybody's all about wanting respect. Dean wanted respect, Bobby wanted respect, so they thought the best way to get that respect is let's fight. Because Dean started insulting Bobby's career and his knockouts. He doesn't even have half a clue what Bobby went through. Anyhow, guys, I spent a lot of time on that story, but I mean, there's a big shift happening right now in combat sports, guys. If you guys aren't already attentive to it, I mean, we're talking about timing, we're talking about narratives, market value, audience crossovers. A lot of big guys like Paramount Plus, Netflix, big promoters like Dana White, Zuffa, Nick Khan, TKO, His Excellency Turkey LL Sheikh, right? All these guys, Matchroom Boxing, Queensberry, you name it, who's who, Golden Boy. Everybody is paying attention to all these analytics and metrics, because this is what's driving the market right now. Fighters want quicker paydays, they want bigger paydays, and fighters are willing to venture outside of the scope of their natural sport to get it. And then there's guys like Brandress. There's guys like that I just mentioned, you know, like who are out there. WBC. WBC is having a fight here in May against the former unified world heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk, and he's going to fight Verhagen. I mean, a famous, legendary kickboxer, and they're going to be fighting in the backdrop in Egypt with the pyramids as their backdrop, and this is for the WBC belt. This is unbelievable. A kickboxer versus a boxer. Anyways, guys, right? I mean, I don't know what you guys think. I don't know what's going on, but a lot of people are saying that Logan Paul is ducking Le'Veon Bell. I'm not sure how real this is, but it looks like they were pretty real. It looks like Le'Veon was ready to do this. And I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, the narratives are spinning out of control. Tom Brady down Logan Paul's throat, like, you know, essentially calling Logan Paul out. I mean, Logan going back and forth with Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady's not going to fight him, but Tom Brady definitely knows a few guys in the NFL who'd be glad to take up Logan Paul's challenge. But Le'Veon's right there. He's willing to do it for $1 million. You know, I don't know how many. It's going to be 3-minute rounds, 10-ounce gloves. All Logan has to do is say, yeah, I'm willing to do it. But I think he just might be ducking, or maybe he's right. Contractually speaking, he can't actually take that fight until he's outside of the world of the WWE. Anyways, guys, I want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts and comments, guys. Is Logan Paul ducking, or is he just playing the game better than everyone else right now? Because that's one thing about the Paul brothers you can't underestimate. It's their mind manipulation and the way they're able to just kind of play these games, get under people's skins and create the drive, create the excitement. And that's how these guys continue to stay relevant in today's golden era of combat sports, guys. Anyways, if you enjoyed this breakdown, if you enjoyed this story, please smash a like and subscribe and hit the notifications so you guys never miss a beat. And I, as usual, the pleasure was all mine. I look forward to catching you guys in tomorrow's video.